Okay, greetings from yours truly. I know it's been a while, but I did promise City Troll, aka Paddy, that I would say a few things just for you folks here. I suppose the first thing for me to say is that I'm really pleased that the site continues to operate, obviously without my daily presence. And that's down to you folks. So first of all, thank you all for continuing to participate in something that I set up, gosh, 21 years ago. Seems a long time, and that's because it is a long time. You'll all know by now that I've diversified myself into many channels, and I've recently, in particular, focused on a lot of video work. So if you're interested in stuff that I do on a pretty much daily basis, actually, if you just subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will see content coming out on a daily basis, and I enjoy that actually. In some regards, it's more fun than trying to sharpen 160 or whatever it is, 160 word tweet. You can explain things in long form a little bit better. I guess there's just two things I wanted to say to my tangled web friends. First is, I think it's interesting in the past year, it's been a year since COVID hit, and I think it's redefined a lot of us. For example, I find myself aligned with people across the political spectrum now, people who hold contrary views to me on other topics. For example, I've got Irish nationalists who I would disagree with in some things, but we all agree that there's more important things than that. And for example, getting our freedom back is one of those. So it's been interesting to observe the redefinition of the body politic. It's not, and it hasn't been really about right versus left for some time. And actually, when I set up Alt News Media, the principle was that it wasn't so much about right versus left, but right versus wrong. Now, you could argue that's subjective, and that's a fair comment. But nonetheless, I think that in 2021, politics has been radically redefined. It's been radically redefined because so many global governments are operating against the best wishes of their people, in my view. So yes, I oppose the lockdown strategies. Yes, I oppose the COVID regulations. I do that not just on sort of random emotional grounds, but having studied the data, I don't come to the same conclusion as government-paid scientists. I wonder why that might be. However, I do know that obviously some of you watching this will be in the US. I think over there, it's different to over here in Blighty. In some regards anyway. Here in the UK, we've got the UK government on hyperspeed warp to basically vaccinate anything that moves if it's got a pulse. So I think the UK is second to only Israel in this rush to vaccinate not just the most vulnerable, but basically everybody, down to and including 6-month babies, i.e. age cohorts that have got no risk to COVID-19. I wonder why that might be. I don't know. It's almost inexplicable. Well, maybe that's for a further discussion with you. So so that's one of the things I wanted to say. The other thing is, obviously, I've watched the Biden administration come in, and it's wonderful. I have to tell you how much I'm enjoying seeing the Democrats fundamentally making sure that the possibility of Trump in 2024 becomes actually a real thing. It was embarrassing to watch the recent press conference by Biden. I don't care what the Washington Post said. That's laughable. His performance was abysmal, even with a room full of patsies pretending to be journalists. It was still grim. What he claimed, he was 120 years in the Senate. That's kind of a typical Biden claim. He claimed that the US had actually pushed out their vaccines at a faster rate than any other country. Wrong, matter of fact. Not that I think that's a good thing, but just as an FYI. And there were other things in it that were so strange. You know, it's obviously the guy is cognitive dissonance, cognitive decline rather, which is a bit sad. Don't really take pleasure from that. But it's humiliating for Americans. You've got not the strongest man in the world, one of the weakest politicians in the world, posturing as president. Obviously, he's just the puppet. Others are pulling the strings. I'm sure we could discuss that. Who are they? What is their agenda? Will Biden last for another 2 years even? I doubt it, but we'll see. I think the toll is already all too evident, and obviously the administration's covering up. Obviously, the press are covering up. But you know something? In the end, truth will out. By the way, Americans, how are you liking your newer, much higher gas prices? I think they've gone, what, up? Is it 300%? Yeah, good old Joe. He's really delivering. The Democrats are delivering for America. So, as I said, there's loads of stuff we could talk about, but this is my preferred means of communicating. So I wanted to do something, as I did promise I would do it, specifically just for a tangled web. So I hope this finds each of you well. And I know you argue away with each other over here. I hope it doesn't spill over into. I was just reading a true account of the gunfight at the OK Corral. So I hope there's no verbal gunfights at the Tangled Web Corral. But whichever way, listen, folks, thanks for your continued support on this site. And I hope to speak with you folks soon.